Some news from Europe regarding what Americans call First Amendment. An Irish author has been arrested by British police for tweets he posted from America. So on September 1st, 2025, Graham Linehan, the Irish creator of Father Ted and the IT Crowd, was arrested at London's Heathrow Airport after he got in from Arizona. 5 armed officers detained him over 3 X posts that went afoul of the UK regime's speech codes. He kind of had a health scare due to high blood pressure during custody. He was released on bail with one condition: you are not allowed to post on X anymore. This is just kind of the highest profile arrest recently regarding social media use as it is practiced in Europe, or UK is showing up the most here. Canada's like really close behind on the UK. Russia does this all the time, but it's Russia and no one's surprised by this.
But the UK does it more. The UK is arresting 30 people a day for speech violations, and Russia's only arresting about 10 per day. So, and I believe Russia has a larger population. So you're far more likely to be arrested for violating government speech codes in the United Kingdom than you are to be arrested for violating government speech codes in Russia, which Europeans like to think of themselves as morally superior than.
Russians are fun, man. I like Russians.
But it's not just social media posts. In the UK, Christians have been arrested for praying silently in their heads. I've seen a lot of stories on that. It's actually surprisingly common. And for quoting Bible verses. So British jails are filling up with Christians and political dissidents. And for authors, this is a concern. Particularly if you write about controversial topics. It's not just your writings on social media that can get you arrested. It's your writings anywhere. If they think that you are in violation of their speech codes, they may try to arrest you. And here's what interesting thing. You don't have to be a subject of the crown. So this man who was arrested is not a subject of the crown. He is a citizen of a different country. He's a citizen of Ireland, which is not it's not Northern Ireland. So there's Ireland, the country, and then there's the Republic of Ireland, which is the chunk in the bottom, and then there's this tiny bit at the top, which is Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is a part of the United Kingdom. The Republic of Ireland is not. So my understanding is that this man is a citizen of the Republic of Ireland. He did his quote-unquote illegal conduct in the United States. And it doesn't matter. The United Kingdom sees their speech codes as governing the entire world. And they arrested him because I think he was flying through Heathrow. I don't even know if England was his destination. So there's some question of, if you're flying to Europe as an American author, could you be arrested in Heathrow? Because I will say I've flown through Heathrow on my way in and out of Europe quite a bit. There's a direct flight from Austin to Heathrow through British Airways. And the question is, maybe. So I don't think that you're at risk if you have an American passport because the UK is occupied militarily by the United States still. So asking the Americans for help in a war, it's kind of like asking the ancient Romans for help in a war. So the Maccabees thought it'd be great to get the Romans help against the Greeks, and then suddenly the Romans are running everything. Kind of how it is.
The mob, like people are paying us for protection.
I'll make you an offer you cannot refuse.
I know Jonesy posted this on X, but we're gonna let it go. Okay, it's gonna be fine.
So I do not think that the British are willing to arrest an American, but I'm not convinced of that, and they very well may. I also think if you have a
performative, there are performative actions, right, where you're demonstrating your morality by taking a huge, possibly illegal step, which is being done by both sides, of wherever you are. That. It's shown it's considered to be a strong action or a strong stance to take, that I am willing to take this action of conscience even though the law hasn't caught up to what I think morality should be yet. So the question is, what's the threat level to an American who, exercises their First Amendment right in the United States of America to disagree with the stuff that's going on in the world or any government or any president or king or whatever, and then when they travel to the UK, what is the actual likelihood of them being taken into custody? And this is something we should use to govern our activity here.
Yeah, I will say this would be the very best thing to happen to your book marketing, maybe
Oh,
ever.
absolutely. You know how many books you would sell if you got arrested by the UK police because of your books?
Yeah, part of me is like, should I be afraid of the United Kingdom? And I'm like, no, I've seen The Patriot.
Oh yeah, that
my
historical
ancestors.
documentary.
I had ancestors who fought in the Revolutionary War. I think I had ancestors who fought in the War of 1812. And if I showed any fear of the United Kingdom whatsoever, I would be dishonoring their memory. So I will not dishonor the memory of my ancestors, and I will not be afraid of the United Kingdom. I also think you're safe if you have a UAE passport. So the UAE owns a lot of England now. So in many ways, the United Kingdom is a military client of the United States, and they're an economic client of the Arabs. So the American, they're a military client of the Americans and an economic client of the Arabs. So like a big chunk of the London Stock Exchange, Good Energy, the City Football Group, 70% of the UK municipal water is foreign owned. They the Arabs even own Man City Football Club. This is like so much of the UK is owned by the United Arab Emirates or its affiliates. And so if you have that kind of passport, I think you're also safe. So the question is, if you have a Canadian passport, especially if you have a Commonwealth passport, I would be very cautious. Although I don't think the Republic of Ireland's in the Commonwealth. I'm not sure about that. But the UK is not a global power anymore. You know, they're very much a client state, and you won't get arrested in the UK for flying an American flag. You won't get arrested for flying a Palestinian flag or a UAE flag, but you might for flying an English flag or, you know, the flag of St. George or the Union Jack. I've seen a lot of reports recently of the English being arrested for flying their own flag.
You get arrested for flying an Irish flag. I guarantee that.
I love the phrase "the Troubles." It's such a beautiful euphemism for a bloody civil war where people were blown up constantly. So there's a more fundamental issue here, though, because people will say, "Oh, well, it's because of hate speech," and we're trying to crack down on hate speech. And what this doesn't recognize is that hate is a natural human emotion. In fact, it's a natural outgrowth of human emotions like love. I can't say that I love justice if I don't also hate injustice. I can't say that I love my wife if I don't also hate harm coming to my wife. And so trying to suppress a natural human emotion is very unhealthy, and especially at a societal level. And one of the things I've noticed is the kind of people who are advocating for suppression of hate speech, so-called, are often deeply depressed, and any kind of extreme emotion, especially a public display of that extreme emotion, makes them very uncomfortable. And I think it's important for us as individuals to be able to experience the full range of human emotion. It doesn't mean that it justifies bad actions, right? Feeling an emotion and doing a bad thing are very different. And learning self-control, where I am not a slave to my emotions, is really important. Something I'm working on with my children because small children feel big emotions, and learning that those emotions don't have to be your boss is really important. But it doesn't mean you don't experience the emotions.
Right.
You know, God hates. There's things that God hates. You read the Bible and God hates quite a few things. And if you're curious, you can read the Bible and see what it is that God hates and who God hates. But trying to say that, oh, hate is bad, you should never hate, is basically insisting that everyone be depressed. And by depressed, I don't mean sad. By depressed, I mean that their emotions are just quenched, that people are like not feeling the full feelings of being a human. And I'm very concerned about what will happen when the UK pops, because telling people that emotions are evil is only a short-term solution. And this is very unhealthy, this kind of totalitarian control. And so pray for England, pray for Northern Ireland, pray for Scotland, pray for the United Kingdom. And don't let them bully you.
I'm really happy about this, because now I can say the Author Update channel endorses hate. Hate more, people.
No, love more. Love more. It's the point I'm trying to make is love more. Love justice. Love your fellow man. And that causes you to hate the inverse of those things, right? Hate and
So
love
I'm
justice,
making a joke here,
hate and
obviously.
justice. I know, but people might clip this and try to crucify me online. So
I hope so. It'll be awesome.
but you as an author need to incorporate or feel free to incorporate the full range of human emotions in your book. And as you do that, it's important that you have the courage to also include a clear morality, right? So there's consequences for bad actions. And you want, and the truer your book is, and by that I mean the truer the morality of your book is to true reality, right? The consequences are true. The more verisimilitude your novel will have, and the more real it feels, right? When you read Lord of the Rings, it has a very clear morality and has a very high verisimilitude, and so it feels like a true story. Not true in the sense that hobbits are true necessarily, but true in the sense that it speaks to kind of eternal elements that are common to all people. So PJ is saying so many sound bites. I am very nervous about this episode getting demonetized. So perhaps consider becoming a patron of the Novel Marketing Podcast. You'll get access to the patron toolbox, and you'll help support the show. You'll notice that we don't really have any sponsors. I can't imagine why.
Why?
Why do we not have any sponsors?
So there's an important concept here that Thomas has been bringing out. So Star Wars made this mistake, right? In Star Wars, anger is evil, right? Anger leads to the dark side, always. But the most pivotal moment of the Return of the Jedi is when Vader says, "I'm going to go after your sister," and that's when Luke loses his mind, and that's when Vader gets taken out. Now he does hold back from killing him at the end because seeing the monster that Rey just turned him into. But then you go into the prequel series where you see the stagnancy of the repressed Jedi, and it's like, that's not what we want. You don't want to be a part of that. The Sith aren't any better. The bad guys aren't any better. But it caused this whole generational problem to go through Star Wars, where it's like, well, why is anger bad? Why is hate bad? Why are relationships bad? Why is love bad? And it created this recurring problem that Star Wars suddenly couldn't solve because it was part of the integral structure or the infrastructure of the story, and that the morality was based around any strong expression of emotion is evil or dark. And they kept trying to fix that with the gray Jedi.
Which is advocating for depression, right?
Yes.
Like,
so
depression isn't sadness. Depression is just not feeling emotions very much.
They created this stagnant, dead structure that was just about maintaining the status quo, where we're all gray and we're all not feeling anything. And that's what the Jedi Order was by the time of the prequels. And so there's a lot of the novel writers tried to fix this, actually, where they're like, the Jedi were already dead. Like, Order 66 was not about killing the Jedi. It was about sweeping the trash away. It was about clearing the area so that life could come back. And so when you have this problem where you try to make hate illegal, you try to make it illegal for that idiot on Reddit to just fill up your feed with nonsense. That's not the best way to go. You need that idiot because you need everyone else to be able to speak too. And
there's a meme that I really like. And it shows Anakin as a child. It says, fear leads to anger. And then shows Anakin as a teenager. It's like, anger leads to hate. And then shows old Darth Vader from Return of the Jedi. Hate leads to suffering. And then it cuts to Calvin's dad from Calvin and Hobbes. He says,
and suffering builds character.
And suffering builds character. And I feel like that is so important because there's a worldview that suffering is the worst possible thing. It is and that's not true. Suffering actually can bring good. In fact, suffering often brings good, right? People go to the gym to suffer. Jonathan joined the Marines knowing they were going to make him suffer. Suffering was a part. It's like the sales pitch. It's like, you want to join the Air Force and make a lot of money and be comfortable, or hear me out, join the Marines.
Life could suck every single day.
but it will make you strong. It will make you better.
Yes.
And as an author, your character's suffering. How does that impact them? Because it doesn't always make you better, right? Someone who's suffering with an illness and it's debilitating and it's killing them, that's very different than, say, suffering in the gym. But saying that suffering is always bad, I think, is very toxic. And it's toxic in your writing. It's toxic in society. I should probably move on to the next story.